So joining me today is the wonderfully addictive writer Maggie James, who I discovered through a mutual Facebook group. I think it was the UK Crime Book Club. I
Yeah,
think we're both in on Facebook.
I think we are. Yeah, great group that is.
It really is. It really is. I've discovered a lot of new authors this year. Well, this year and towards the back end of last year through that. So that's where I first came across you. And I've got them all lined up on my Kindle so that I can go through them because
Fabulous.
I've read so many.
Well,
I started with His Kidnapper's Shoes.
Oh, my firstborn. Yeah, first book
Yeah.
ever wrote.
Then I moved on to After She's Gone.
Mm-hmm.
Then I read Silent Winter. And then the last one I read was Deception Wears Many Faces.
Right. Yeah, you have been busy.
I mean, it was honestly, Maggie, it was after I'd read His Kidnapper's Shoes, I was like, I need to find out, I need to read more. What catalogue has this author got? I need to go find more. So I jumped onto Amazon and then onto Goodreads. I'm like, right, okay, we've got a back catalogue that we can work through here. And I found myself sitting up through the night to read them.
Wow. So you're sleep deprived and all because of me. I'm sorry.
No, it was absolutely fine. I didn't mind. So I really want to kind of pick your brains, really, because you are, for me, the queen of psychological thrillers.
Wow.
I read it and I think, I know 100% where this book is going. I know who the perpetrator is, I know who the bad guy is, I know what, and then it'll just do a 360 and I'm like, whoa.
That's what to do. That is always such fun for a writer. That's good. So.
Yeah, and then it's like, okay, so just one more chapter. I'll just read one more chapter. And of course it never turns out that way. And I think it was Kidnapper's Shoes that I could not put down. So I want to share your wisdom with me, Maggie. Tell me about your writing journey. How come you are so bloody good at writing these psychological thrillers? Have you studied psychology? Because you just blew me away.
Wow, thank you, Catherine. I'm very flattered. Okay, so you asked about my writing journey. Ever since I was a little girl, all I've ever wanted to do was be a full-time novelist. It was just my dream. That was what I wanted to do. And of course, life doesn't quite work out like that. I grew up and I became an accountant for decades. And I found myself somewhere in my 40s, and the last time I'd written anything was back in my teenage years. So the dream never faded, never went away, but I never did anything about it. And with hindsight, I think I was just scared. I didn't know what to do. This was in the days before Kindle publishing. I was scared. I was also, I had ridiculous ambitions. I felt that unless I could win a Nobel Prize for literature, I would be a failure as a novelist. When you've got something like that nagging away in your head,
no pressure.
No pressure whatsoever. I mean, now that seems utterly ridiculous, but that was basically what I was thinking. Unless I'm the best that there can possibly be, then there's no point in even starting. And time ticked on, and I then found myself in my 50s, and I still hadn't written a thing. So to cut a long story short, one day I decided to give up work, go abroad for a year, travel off around the world. And while I was away, I would come back. I would come back with a finished novel. And that's basically what happened, with a few hiccups along the way.
Wow.
Didn't tell anyone I was doing it because I thought I was mad enough to give up my safe, secure job and go off traveling anyway. So didn't do anything for a while when I came back, because when I came back I was involved in selling my house and buying another property. But eventually, while I was away on that trip, I actually spoke to a woman who told me about Kindle Direct Publishing and about indie publishing in general. At that time it was still in its infancy. We're talking about 2010, 2011, so only just getting going, but immediately clicked with me. I thought, yeah, that's what I want to do, that's what I want to do. So again, to cut a long story short, after I'd finished, moving property and everything, I actually set up a dog walking business to support myself financially while I wrote, which was great because I was getting the best of both worlds. I was doing what I love, I was writing, and then I was going out and getting fresh air and exercise with the dogs, because I'm a huge animal lover. So the contrast was great. So I published His Kidnapper's Shoes in 2013. I went full time, I think it was 2015. Yeah, that's right, 2015. And been full time ever since, very happily.
Wow.
Yeah, no more dog walking. I still love animals, obviously, but yeah, I don't need to walk dogs anymore.
Do you pinch yourself sometimes, Maggie, and think, my God, I can't believe this is what I do for a living?
Sometimes, yes. I think because I wanted it for so long, and it was always, I want to be a novelist, but I'm stuck in my accountancy job. And it wasn't until I had a bit of an epiphany at work one day, and I thought, right, enough's enough. But yeah, I still pinch myself at times because, you know, not everyone is lucky enough to do that, to achieve their dreams. So yeah, I do. Sometimes it doesn't seem real. I mean, I'm looking now, passing my laptop. I've got a row of my books in front of me, and it's just wonderful to see my name on the spine. You know, I don't think that the novelty of that will ever wear off. So yeah, makes me very happy.
Yeah, I mean, you should be incredibly proud of yourself, because
Thank you.
For me, as kind of reading the books, it's the other one that I read as well was Sister Psychopath, which again blew me away. And where do you get your inspiration from? Where do your ideas come from?
I find they pop into my head at random moments, but to be fair, they're often inspired by TV documentaries, I've found.
Okay.
Yeah, my novella Blackwater Lake was inspired by a documentary I watched about hoarding disorder, which just fascinated me. You know, they're showing these pictures of houses which were actually stacked to the rooftops, full of junk and everything. And the idea popped into my head, what if the solution to like a decades old murder was hidden somewhere amongst all that? So I was watching TV and that just popped into my head. So I found also the inspiration for Deception Wears Many Faces came from a TV documentary.
Right.
Very sad program I watched about con artists who, they have no compassion about fleecing their victims, all their money and everything. And I start to think, well, what would happen if somebody set out to get their revenge on such a character? So that inspired that. But so inspiration can come from many sources, really. Casual conversations, something I see. But when it does hit, I find that like the idea sort of buzzes in my head, I can't sort of let go of it. I mean, you as a writer probably know this. It's like, whoa, that is definitely an idea with legs, I could with that. So yeah, that's always fun when that happens, because you never know when inspiration's going to strike.
Exactly. And when you get that spark of an inspiration, what's the process then? Do you sit down, do you plot out the whole story? Do you know where it's going to go and who's going to be involved? How does it develop?
Well, I keep an ideas list. I use Microsoft OneNote, and every time I get an idea, it goes in there. And some of them I suspect I will never use. If it's an idea that really catches my attention, like the hoarding disorder or the program like con artists, I just sit down and I start mapping out ideas. I usually start with a sentence, a one-line premise for the book, and then I expand on that, and then suddenly it grows and mushrooms out. I'm not one of those writers, I can't write without knowing the end. Some writers do that, writing into the dark, it's called, where you just, the novel goes along and the author themselves doesn't know where it's going. And I couldn't be like that. I think by nature I'm more of a planner, but I find I can't plan my novels in huge details. For me, like a one-line sentence for each chapter and a chapter order is enough to give me a bit of structure, so I know where I'm going. And then I find there's sort of things take shape along the way. For example, the novel I'm writing at the moment, it started with a plan like that, but I'm busy moving things around, chopping things in and out. So it's more of a guideline as to how to get to the first draft, really.
Yeah. And how many drafts would you normally do?
Oh, it depends what you define as a draft, because I mean, this one, I think it's on its second draft because I totally rewrote it. I mean, my aim is always to write a messy first draft. I've kind of accepted that the first drafts are always going to be,
going to be a mess.
Absolutely, yes. I called it on it. I would never let anyone read my first draft because it's just like, I was editing the other day and I thought, my God, did I really write that? Delete. But then it goes through like a lot of editing. So I think, there's not enough changes in that editing to make it a complete new draft, but it does change quite a bit. So I guess it varies from novel to novel, really.
Yeah. How do you know when a book's complete? When you've considered, I've done no more, that's it.
I don't think I've ever felt like that. I'm one of those, there's a meme going around on Facebook, where a writer is sort of clutching at their manuscript saying, no, just one more edit. And I think I could edit for 10 years and I'd never be happy. I think when I get to a stage where I just can't bear to look at it anymore, I think that's it. I kind of know that I've reached the peak. can't do anymore. Sometimes I find myself changing something, then like the next day I'm changing it back to how it was, and I kind of know then that, you know, it's just cosmetic changes and I've done the bulk of the real work. So
yeah. Do you have a team around you then? Do you still publish independently, work with an editor, or are you with a publisher now?
I'm what's called a hybrid author. So I've got two titles, His Kidnapper's Shoes and After She's Gone. They're with Lake Union, and I did have 4 other titles with another publisher, and actually asked for my rights back on those, which I got. I got the 2018. So all my others are self-published under my publishing imprint, Aurelia Publishing. How things pan out in the future, I'm not sure. I very much like the control that indie publishing gives me. I like the fact I choose my title, the cover, I do all the formatting. I'm in complete control. Maybe I'm a bit of a control freak, but I like that.
I think we all are to a degree. It's certainly why I self-publish.
A lot of authors, I can think of authors, they've turned down publishing contracts. And to be fair, I've turned down a couple, simply because the benefits of indie publishing, I think, are huge,
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I also think the indie publishing community is really strong. I think,
very much so, yes.
A lot of support out there for indie authors, like yourself and AJ Campbell and Penny Jenkins, who I've interviewed recently. And I just feel so much more of a connection because we're all on the same path.
Exactly. I've found other authors hugely supportive. I mean, I've got some wonderful author friends, people like Conrad Jones, Tony Ford, Jim Odie, great people. They really are, like you say, we're all on the same path. We can help and support each other. It's not a competition, not at all,
Absolutely.
I've never seen it that way. I'm very happy to support other authors as they've done with me. So
absolutely. I interviewed Tony a couple of weeks ago now.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
It was great fun. Yes.
He's a great guy, and he writes wonderful books. He really does.
Okay, so what is your long-term goal then? What's your long-term plan?
To keep going, I think, to keep writing in the same genre. I've thought about writing in a different genre, and to be honest, no, I don't think it's for me. It's a psychological aspect, digging into people's, the dark depths of people's minds, fascinates me. So I think I'm definitely going to continue down that route. I think it takes time as an author to establish yourself in a genre. So I don't particularly want to change horses and go off down a different tack and have to re-establish myself in a different genre. I suppose it would be easy enough for me to switch to crime fiction and police procedurals, but to be honest, I don't want to write in a series. I like to finish a book and then move on to the next one. I don't want to keep the same cast of characters and move through a series. And I'm not particularly comfortable writing police scenes. So I think, that kind of rules out police procedurals, really. Yeah.
I like that all your books seem to have kind of a moral dilemma behind them, similar in a vein to Jodie Picoult, where there's the right and the wrong way. And as a reader, you kind of you tugged into that dilemma of, well, but it's a sister, but that shouldn't have happened there. That would I love how you just seem to pinpoint that. So I think that for me, your success in doing that is that you seem to develop your characters to so deep, you've got such a good grasp of them. So how do you work about developing a character? Do they stay in your head for a while, or?
Yeah, they do. I find, once I'm really knee deep in the editing or, at the writing stage, I get very immersed in the book. So, they do stay in my head. And often, if I'm sort of cooking a meal or, doing the laundry or something, the characters are I'm getting ideas tossed around in my head and everything. So definitely, What I work on is I always like to include and examine in my books really strong emotions. It's not so much, I think, that I set out to, pose a moral dilemma for my characters. Although that obviously happens along the way. I just love digging into complex and very deep and dark emotions, and I love getting those out on the page. That's what drives me.
And are the characters you write ever based on anybody you know?
Not the characters. I've used people's names because often readers love to see their own name in a book. So at the book I'm writing at the moment, it's got at least 2 of my friends' names in, and I'm possibly might include another 2. I've done it with previous books, and it's great fun to do for everyone, really. So names, yes. Characters, no. I think I would only do it if I portrayed them as a nice, decent character. Otherwise, I think there's an element of, I think people might see it as a bit passive aggressive. If I included somebody I know and I showed them as a really nasty person, then that's just not good to me. I don't want that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So names, yes. Characters, no. I mean, I'm not saying it wouldn't happen, but I think they'd be very well disguised, so nobody would ever know where my inspiration comes from. Yeah.
Okay, so a couple of questions that I have in front of me. What's your favourite book?
I don't think I've got one, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I read, I'm a voracious reader like you. I'm often up at night saying, just one more chapter, just one more chapter. I go through several books a week. I wouldn't say I've got a favourite book. There are some books which have influenced me quite heavily. I remember when I read 1984 by George Orwell the first time, I was blown away by it, very, very powerful book in so many ways. And possibly some of it is, you could say it's coming true in some respects. I don't know, but yes, that one certainly had a profound effect on me. But I wouldn't say I've got a favourite book as such, or I enjoy most books I read. So
what about genre then? Do you like reading psychological thrillers as well?
I love it. Yeah. Psychological thrillers and crime thrillers are my favourites. I've gone through all sorts of genres and types of books. When I was a teenager, I very much favoured the classics. I also read a lot of Agatha Christie, but my main love as a teenager was Thomas Hardy and other classic novels. Jane Austen. So it's changed over the years. I've read all sorts, really. There's some genres I haven't read, not because I don't like them, I just haven't read them. I mean, I think Kindle publishing has meant that there's a huge explosion of new genres on the scene. Never been around before. I'm thinking of stuff like reverse harem and things like that. I'm not saying I wouldn't enjoy it. It's just I've never actually tackled a book in the reverse harem genre, for example. Not big on fantasy novels. I find, you often get lots of strange sounding words and, weird sort of languages and stuff. And some of it can be a bit heavy going, I think.
When do you prefer to write? Are you a morning or an evening, or does it not matter to you?
It does actually. Weirdly enough, given that I'm a night owl, I prefer to write in the morning. I find I mean, I loathe getting up early, I really do, but I find I'm much more productive if I get up, do some exercise and sit straight down to write. If I try writing any other time, it doesn't work quite as well for me. So the usual structure of my day is to write in the morning, and then sort of sundry stuff like social media promotions, like that, the nitty-gritty parts of being a full-time author, if they come in the afternoon, that works best.
I'm just learning that. I was doing it the other way around. It was kind of social media in the morning, all right, and now I'll do some writing. And I was like, that doesn't make sense, because by the time it gets to the afternoon, I'm ready for a kip.
And also I think it's that old adage of eat the frog first, if I do the easy stuff, like if I mess around on social media, that's easy, an hour gone. All the easy stuff, I sometimes, I've run out of energy by the afternoon. I thought, the last thing I want to do is actually engage my brain and write. So, I'll go off for a walk or something. So it doesn't work. I have to write or edit or, do all that kind of stuff first, and then do any nitty gritty stuff later, where it's much better.
Okay, so if you were going to give a novice writer some tips, what would they be?
Good question. I think firstly, to establish what you want from your writing. Is it going to be a hobby that you just do for fun and you're not worried about if you get published or not? Or do you want to actually see your book in print, become a published novelist? In which case, I would say be as professional in your attitude as possible. Treat it like, any other job, you do it professionally. I've heard writers say to me, oh, spelling and grammar don't matter. Well, they do.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. I mean, you wouldn't hear a musician say, oh, it doesn't matter if I sing off key or play, a bad chord. It does matter, and it's no different from also. So yeah, be as professional as possible. Get the best possible cover you can afford if you're going down the indie route. Make sure you get an editor, send your book through several proofreaders, beta readers, get people who know their stuff when it comes to spelling and grammar to actually look at your book and weed out the typos and all the errors. Yeah, that would be my main advice, I think.
Okay. Do you ever, when you finish writing a book, do you ever read it out loud to yourself?
I've employed that software that you can use, which actually reads it out in a robotic voice when I'm editing. Yeah, because I heard from other writers, they found it very useful, and it picks up stuff that might look right when you read it on the screen, but when it sounds out loud, the way it's going to sound in your head, it sounds a bit off, and it helps you pick up errors.
I've kind of dabbled with that, but I've not really tried it properly. But I've heard so many people, so many authors recommend it.
It definitely works. It's a little bit time consuming because I say the voice, the software I use is a little bit robotic, it takes a little bit of time and it's a bit slow, but definitely helps you catch some errors, I think. And particularly I think with dialogue, because if you're hearing it spoken, if it's dialogue, you can actually hear if it sounds clunky or not quite right. So yeah, it's good advice. Yeah.
Interesting. Might be worth having a look into that then.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you have any rituals or habits whilst you're writing?
No, I don't actually. I know some authors like to play classical music, or I don't know, mood music, or else they drink a gallon of coffee. No, I just open up a laptop and check what I'm going to do that day according to the sketchy plan I make, and off I go. So
no Mozart playing in the background or steaming at the side.
No, I do. Yeah, music would be a complete no for me. It's
really,
yeah, definitely no music. I don't mind if like sounds in general, street sound, stuff like that. I can usually sort of block those out and everything. But no, I just no particular rituals. Yeah, just get going.
Okay, it can also be seen as procrastination, but I never said that. I know from reading your blog, one of your other hobbies or another aspect of your life is health and nutrition. Is that right?
Yes, definitely. I mean,
back
a long time ago, I'd actually trained as a nutritional therapist.
Right.
I had this idea that I wasn't particularly happy being an accountant. I knew I wanted out, so I would train in something I was interested in, and then get established in that job, and actually then start to write. Because it was always my goal to be a novelist. So now it seems like a bit of a sidetrack. In hindsight, I should have just stuck out with the accountancy and actually just started writing instead of during which time I did no writing whatsoever. So I actually found when I came to practice as a nutritionist, I didn't enjoy it because it wasn't what I really wanted to do. What I really wanted to do was be a novelist. So yeah, I haven't practiced as a nutritionist since 2016, so those days are behind me, but I still have a keen interest in health and fitness. Yeah, I've got lucky enough to have a home gym, which for the novelty of that. Yeah, I've got a room in my house which is full of gym equipment, and I just love it, so yeah, very interested.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the gyms. I think it's the 12th of April when they open up again. I only ever go swimming.
12th of April, yeah.
So we spoke offline, we spoke on Messenger before about our mutual love of animals, and it's interesting that you mentioned that you set up your dog walking business, because I also have a cat sitting business which I started maybe a year ago.
Yes.
I can't tell you how much joy it brings into my life. It's amazing.
I can imagine, just yeah, to have a different job, where you just sort of, cuddle cats and look after them. That would be in heaven. Yeah, I'm actually going to a friend's house tomorrow to see a load of baby lambs, and I can't wait. I'm going to spend the afternoon cuddling lambs. Oh, so cute.
Heaven. I was with my son yesterday. He's got a cocker spaniel puppy, called Milo.
Oh.
I hadn't seen him for a while because of lockdown and what have you, and he'd grown, and we were both as crazy as each other when we took him to the park running around, and yeah, it was brilliant. So our mutual love of animals is
Yes, for me it's been a lifelong love. I'm sort of I don't have any animals at the moment, but I'm definitely, me and my partner are plotting to have some animals soon, so yeah,
definitely that would be my dream.
Probably a cocker spaniel.
Sorry, missed that.
Probably a cocker spaniel and a cat at first, anyway.
Yeah.
I want 100 cats, but it seems to think that's unreasonable.
Cats are wonderful. They're so easy. They look after themselves.
Oh, they're gorgeous. Yeah, there's nothing better than, when you've got them in your arms and they're away and closing their eyes, and they're so cute.
Yeah,
wonderful.
I sent you that picture of my little black and white cat Button, who just literally lays in my arms like a baby, and he lays in his bed absolutely nothing, his legs are all over, and he didn't care.
I saw the picture of him. He's really gorgeous.
Yeah, best 20 quid I've ever spent.
Oh.
Anyway, back to writing.
Yes, we were talking about writing, weren't we? Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's it. That's where we were. Yeah. Just a couple more questions. So if you had a chance to co-write a book with anybody, who would it be with, do you think?
This question came up in a writers group recently, and I said I would never co-write with anyone. I think, I can't imagine how people do it. I really can't, how they merge their styles and their working practices.
Yeah.
I think maybe might come back to the control thing. I want to be in control of the manuscript, so I don't think I'd share well with someone else. But if I had to, it'd definitely be Stephen King, because I just worship that man. He's like a talent, unlike any other. He's amazing. And also he works very differently to me. He doesn't plot out his books. He's a bit more of a pantser when he writes, and obviously it works. And also, I'm constantly using a thesaurus. He, says that's a complete no for him. So I think we work very differently. So I doubt very much he'd learn anything from me, but I would definitely learn something from him. So yeah, it'd be with the great Mr. Stephen King.
Yeah, I have a list of potential podcast guests on the wall of my
shelf. Is he one of them?
Stephen King is on there.
I'm sure if you asked him nicely. Yeah, if you asked him nicely, I'm sure he would say yes.
What's the worst that could happen?
Well, yes. Yeah, go for it. I should look forward to seeing Stephen on your podcast soon.
Okay, so just before we wrap up, Maggie, where can people find out more about you and your fantastic books?
Well, I've got a page on Amazon, or else you can go to my website, which is www.maggiejamesfiction.com. So my blog's on there, but all the details of my books. So, or as I say, they're all on Amazon as well. So those are the two easiest routes.
And when your next book that comes out, is that your 8th?
Yes, it's number 8. Yes. So.
Okay. I won't go into too much details, because I'm going to ask if you will come back on close to the launch of.
Oh wow! Thank you. Yes.
So that we can do maybe a bit of a launch party, and you can tell us all about it then. Would you be up for that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this has been fun. So yeah, why not?
Oh, cool. Good stuff. I've got you on video now saying that. You can't.
Oh, right. Oh, yes. I can't deny it.
Absolutely not. No, Maggie, thank you so much for your time today. You've been so generous, and thank you for going through all the questions with me. I do appreciate it, and I'm sure the listeners will too. So take care, and we will see you when your next book comes out.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Catherine. It's been a pleasure.
No problem at all.
Okay.